Are you ready for the start of Speed Weeks 97? The IMSA Endurance Championship Daytona USA 2-hour is next on the Deuce. On a sunshiny, breezy day at the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway in Daytona Beach, Florida, welcome to the first race of Speed Weeks 97, IMSA's Endurance Championship, the season-opening Daytona USA 2-hour. Hi, everybody. I'm Bob Varsha along with Marty Reed. Bill Weber and Jan Bikas are in the pit lane, and there is the field. More than 75 strong arrayed along the pit lane in preparation of the roll-off and the start for this 2-hour battle. Marty, let's take a look at the series breakdown.
Total of 10 races this year, and this is going to be the shortest event at 2 hours, and the longest will be a 5-hour endurance race. There are mandatory driver changes. In fact, to score points, you're going to have to be in the car about 25 to 27 minutes, and there are 4 total classes that we'll be covering today. The car descriptions, well, they're street stocks. They're modified for safety, and the shaved Toyo Street radials taken down to a race depth of about, a quarter of an inch. Exxon 93 octane fuel in every single car, and it's right out of the pump. Same thing you can buy at your gas station.
IMSA's oldest championship. If you want to see your street ride tuned to perfection, this is the race to watch. Let's get down to the pit lane now, and Bill Weber.
Bob, this is one of the most exciting series you can watch, not only because of the participants and the number of cars, but because of all the surprises you'll see on the track. In fact, there were a lot of surprises in qualifying. People thought Mustangs would be the fastest, but in fact, the 46 Mustang is the 4th fastest car, and it's the fastest Mustang, nearly 2 seconds behind the pole sitter. It's co-driven by Andy Pilgrim, who won the 95 Grand Sports Series Championship, and actor Jason Priestley from Beverly Hills 90210, who made his racing debut in this series 1 year ago. Pilgrim, the veteran, says Priestley, the young driver, is getting better with every lap. The question is, will that combination be good enough to catch some of the faster cars here today? For the big surprise, let's go to Jan Bikas.
Well, that's right, Bill. When you talk about surprises, think about the car that sits on the pole today is making its debut in this series. It's a Toyota Supra. Well, a Toyota Supra has been here before. In fact, Eric Van Cleef won the championship in a Toyota Supra, but that was in the sport division. Now he moves up to Grand Sport because that car, the number 88 Toyota Supra, is a twin turbocharged Toyota Supra, 350 horsepower. It flies down the straightaways here at Daytona, and it's making its debut, we are told, with the fastest average lap that any car has ever done in the IMSA Endurance Championship. So it should be great, and we have a new surprise up front, guys.
No question about it, Jan. As you take a look at our pole-sitting car, here's a look at our starting grid, and you're going to see some familiar names as we move down the list. Look at that number 5 spot. Boris Said and Sean Hendricks. They'll be tough in one of those Ford Mustang Cobra Rs that everybody thought would dominate qualifying here, Marty.
Absolutely. In fact, what's amazing, take a look. You're all the way down to the 9th position before your average lap comes under 100 miles an hour. And if you base these times on what you would see in the Rolex 24 tomorrow, these cars would be at near the mid-pack of the competition in GTS 3.
The cars are still rolling off the pit lane while the cars following the safety car are already up onto NASCAR turns 1 and 2. It's a 3.56-mile combination of the NASCAR Tri-Oval and the infield that has seen so many great sports car races over the decades, and we expect another one here today. Street stock cars only lightly modified for safety and performance. And the point, Marty, is performance. You are not allowed to take it beyond manufacturer specification.
Yeah, and they do a great job in IMSA of tearing the vehicles down for in post-race inspection. They really go over with a fine-tooth comb, and they really try and keep the lid on the expense of these things. But even still, I mean, it costs a little bit of money to be competitive at the front of every field.
It may be the most democratic and accessible form of high-class racing anywhere in America, or the world for that matter. Down to the showroom, pick out your high-performance car. In a matter of weeks, you can be ready to take to the racetrack.
It's going to take a long time to get through all 75 names on here. I hope everybody at home memorized them because we couldn't.
It's going to be a long afternoon, not only with the number of cars that we have, but the number of drivers. Well over 150 different drivers lined up to race here today. We'll try to stay on top of who is in which car I guarantee you, with 4 classes running and as tight as the competition is in the IMSA Endurance Championship, we're going to have a lot to describe.
And watch the front row here, because Chuck Goldsboro and Rob Walton are starting the cars. Now, they are not the guys who qualified these cars, and no offense to either driver, but they are not as quick as Eric Van Cleef or Don Knowles. So we might see a very quick change at the front. In fact, if we're going to predict anything, take a look at the number 5 hole, because Boris Said is going to be starting the number 20 Mustang, and I would expect to see him by the end of lap 1 pushing for the front.
The field divided into 4 classes: Grand Sports, Sports, Touring, and Compact, not based on engine displacement or horsepower, but what the IMSA officials feel will be a car's relative performance in endurance racing. Now you see the field forming up, the traditional double file side by side. Think you might know any of the names of drivers in this series? How about reigning kart champion Jimmy Vasser, Wayne Taylor, and fellow IMSA champions Irv Hare, Larry Schumacher, Tom Kendall, and Dorsey Schrader, who were 1-2 in the SCCA Trans Am Championship last year. David Empringham, who dominated what is now the Cool Toyota Atlantic Championship in recent years. IRL co-champion Scott Sharp, and Randy Popes, the inaugural champion in the North American Touring Car Series.
Pace car should be ducking off the left. They want to hold on here as long as they possibly can, as we should get a green flag this time by, and somebody's already heading for pit lane.
Safety car is off. Our pole sitter brings the field to the line. Green flag not yet displayed, and there it is. We are underway with the first race of Speed Weeks 1997 at Daytona International Speedway, the Daytona USA 2-hour.
Hold on for turn 1.
Oh my, 2, 3 wide. Guys going up the outside in turn 1. Look at the size of that field. Rush hour here at Daytona. On to the infield section, to the International Horseshoe.
Chuck Goldsboro got a great start. He's pulled out about a 3-car length lead. Rob Walton is in second place, but here comes Boris Said.
He's in the white Mustang to the left of the red car. As the rest of the field streams through the horseshoe, 3 and 4 wide. We call it an endurance championship, but we're looking at sprint racing on this first lap.
What is absolutely amazing is we have made it this far, and there has been very little trading of paint. And usually at first race of the season, and David Shepp is in the pits already. And there's some loose equipment in the car, so they had to tie it down. Looks like he's back on the way.
So a bit of a fillip right here at the start. Tough break for him. Now up onto the banking they go for the first time.
That's Boris Said on the inside, and he isn't even going to wait for the first lap to end before he's up front.
Well, you called it before we came on the air, Marty. Watch Boris Said in that Mustang. Now Goldsboro surges back to the front.
Look at the horsepower of that twin-turbo Toyota Supra. We didn't know exactly what it had because it's the first time in this division, and he has pulled away. Now here comes under braking, and this is where it's going to be interesting. Can Boris close up under him under braking?
Keep in mind, these are not racing brakes on these cars. So endurance racing with manufacturer equipment can get interesting. Now Boris, he doesn't have the turbo lag and the smaller displacement. He's got that normally aspirated big block. He moves up, and now we have another challenger. Now wait for the Toyota's turbos to spool up, and we'll see Goldsboro come around on the high side.
And that's Nick Ham in the 70 car. And Nick, of course, experienced racer both in this series, even the Porsche Super Cup a couple of years ago. And Boris is going to have a tough time on the straightaway sections here.
Boris Said leads the field through the first lap of the 1997 IMSA Endurance Championship season. And Goldsboro drops to third in the black Toyota. Streaming through 7th and 8th place. Braking for the horseshoe.
The 2-car was Craig Conway in the Firebird Formula leading that group. He's really experienced in the series.
These are the big Grand Sports cars running near the front.
And the 4-car Rob Walton started on the front row. He has backed up a little bit. The CEO of Walmart, serious racer, but not able to hold off the other cars here. And on the outside, that's Bernie Cochran. That's his teammate.
Well, all's fair in love, war, and racing. Now, because of that mandatory mandatory driver change, Marty, we expect to see all sorts of strategy played out in terms of which driver starts the car, which man takes over, and when he does it.
And Nick Ham has jumped into the lead in front of Boris and is pulling away. So again, here we've got another situation where the Mazda RX-7 Turbo can get that turbo spooled up, and he is making tracks. We're going to find out how good Boris's brakes are, I think.
There's the Toyota running in third. Through the infield chicane.
Boy, look at the way Nick came off that corner at the bus stop chicane. He was able to pull away, and he is stretching it right now.
No question about it. Nick Ham out front, drawing away from Boris Said and Chuck Goldsboro. They come down to complete another lap. The clock is running, as it will, through yellow flags or a red flag, if we should get one. Grand Sports Division cars dominating the top 10. We'll be back with more live from Daytona. Welcome back live to Daytona International Speedway. Bob Barsham, Marty Reed with you as the Daytona USA 2-hour opening round of the IMSA Endurance Championship unfolds. There is Nick Ham in his Mazda Turbo leading Boris Said and Chuck Goldsboro, and there's been a tremendous battle for second place, Marty.
Yeah, Boris is doing everything he can to hold off Chuck Goldsboro. Goldsboro has the horsepower, but Boris is able to outbrake him. And then I've been watching also as we keep moving through the field here, the Dave Sharp car with Kelly Collins as his co-driver. They're in fourth, doing real well. And moving into fifth is Jason Priestley.
Jason Priestley sharing with Andy Pilgrim. And if Priestley is able to hold on, as you watch Boris Said going around Nick Ham into the lead, if Priestley can hold on, when Andy Pilgrim gets into that car, they're going to be a force. Here's the top 5 cars right there. Then in 6th is Priestley. Then a great battle, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th, running nose to tail.
And that's Bernie Cochran right in front of Stu Hayner. And Hayner is going to try the inside.
Sports Division cars, Pontiac Firebirds, Ford Mustangs, Super Turbos. Ranking.
Right there, that 47 car, that's Gary Smith. He and John Kohler teamed together again.
You see the gap to the car head in the chicane.
And there is our first look, good look at Jason Priestley as he's going for another position.
Is that Goldsboro's car he's underneath?
Yes.
Yes, it is. So
yes.
Goldsboro is drifting back. Some cars down on the apron. We have some pit activity, but not among the key cars.
Look at that Toyota. That is amazing. They were clocked at 170 miles an hour at the fastest portion of the banking. And this is a street legal machine. Now, yes, they have been able to play with the computer chip, but if Priestley can reel in here because he has caught up to the 92 car of Dave Sharp, we could have a little nice three-way battle here.
Priestley up into 5th spot. And as you saw, right on top of Goldsboro for 4th, just ahead of Goldsboro. Well, obviously, there's a trend developing here.
Right through the shot there, you notice that Boris Said is still holding station in first place. He's been able to hold off Nick Ham, but this is the best battle going right now between these two for 3rd and 4th spot.
Car number 53 is in the pits. Here's John Vikas.
3 Mustang has just rolled out, and if we can pan around here, I can show you why. The tire here actually exploded on the car. It lost pressure. And you can see what happens if you have to do a full lap around the Daytona International Speedway with no pressure in the tire. Thankfully, he brought it back, but it was a lengthy pit stop for the 53 Mustang.
Looked like some sidewall damage. They might have run up against another car or sign or no signal of any debris out there.
It is really easy to do. And look at the gap here between Boris Said on the left in first and second place Nick Ham. It's easy to cut a tire here because you're right, all the metal on the sheet body work can really just do a lot of damage very quickly. And here we go. This could get interesting. Heading for the bus stop.
Battle for third. Collins in the yellow machine. Goldsboro in the black. Matching 2 turbo Toyotas. Well, they battle among themselves. Here comes Jason Priestley in that white Ford Mustang just behind Goldsboro. Meanwhile, the top 2 cars of Said and Ham have drawn away from this battle.
If Goldsboro's had a problem, it's been in that bus stop chicane. That's where a lot of people have reeled him in and even gotten close enough to pass him. And he's got his hands full right now with Jason Priestley. He's got to get the turbo spooled up, and I think he's going to be able to hold on to it. Uh-oh, now we're going to get into real interesting things. For the rest of the time, folks, get ready because there's going to be lap traffic everywhere.
Boy, a tip of the helmet to Jason Priestley. He is racing with a lot of aggression and a lot of poise out there as well.
He picked up a full second from his time last year since jumping into the car with Andy Pilgrim. Andy, one of the most experienced veterans here, has done a great job of coaching him.
Once again, they bunch up on the infield portion of the 3.5-mile Daytona International Speedway oval and road course. We'll be back in a moment. Full of laps into the opening round of the IMSA Endurance Championship for 1997, and Boris Said is already lapping cars.
I'm impressed again, as always. Boris getting the most out of his machine, and this is the greatest battle we have going up front. That is for 3rd and 4th place. Dave Shart is trying to hold off a hard-charging Chuck Goldsboro.
Saw slower traffic from one of the other classes. Nick Ham just getting around. Now Ham is dropping back. The Goldsboro-Shart battle with Jason Priestley in close attendance might close up on him shortly. There's a lot of traffic out there, however.
And momentum plays a key role with these cars because if you lose it, it takes you so long to regain it. Look at this now. Jason Priestley, as Goldsboro gets loose in there, that may be a big chance for Priestley, and he's taking the spot.
Jason Priestley moves up. Keep in mind, I'm sure both drivers would say the stronger member of that team has yet to get in that car.
I'll tell you, these guys were so diligent in their testing. We found out they were testing on New Year's Eve at Willow Springs. Jason and Andy, they've got no life right now.
It was cold at Willow Springs on New Year's Eve. Now Priestley is in 4th, in 3rd place just ahead of him.
And we'll get to see who comes off this one. Ooh, Shark got a little loose there in the back end. Now the Toyota has the horsepower if he can get the turbo spooled up, and here comes Priestley staying on the low side.
If he doesn't get him by right about now, you should see that Toyota begin to draw away. There he goes.
Yeah, it does. Man, it's impressive. First time I've seen the car. It really performs. They're going to be selling a few more cars here pretty soon. Everything's cyclical in this series. I remember years ago when the Porsches were just killing the field. Now a Porsche has a hard time just qualifying sometimes near the top 10. And then it was the Pontiacs that came along, and then it was the Ford Mustangs. Now it looks like the Mazdas, and now it appears that the Toyota Supra is going to be the car to beat right now.
We always say racing improves street cars. Maybe it's the other way around in this series. The street cars improve the racing. Manufacturers realize there's a lot of hay to be made in racing like this, the cars that we all drive on the street. Jason Priestley making a pro-style move down to the inside. Can the Toyota hold him off? I don't think so.
Boy, I'm wondering if something happened on Shart's car, and he's got to get out of it. Shart looked like he slowed down momentarily, but he's held on to the position because Priestley had the lap traffic, and that's what you got to do. You got to drive smart here. And here comes Chuck Goldsboro back into the picture. So Chuck's reeled these guys back in thanks to the lap traffic. Oh, we had somebody into the guardrail, and then right here as Jason Priestley coming in, you're going to see the dirt and flying up, and just off to their driver's left. We've had one car go into the guardrail there.
Navigates the horseshoe. There you see the car at the back of the screen. Car number 62. It's a Honda.
Yeah, Kim Lill from Gainesville, Florida is the driver right now. It's one of the Prelude SIs. And they were not running up in front in that division, but boy, they stuffed it into the tires pretty hard there. He looks to be okay, though. He's talking to IMSA officials and safety corner workers, and looks like he's okay.
Just got a bit behind on his braking there in the horseshoe. Meanwhile, leader Boris Said, who's a busy man this weekend at Daytona. He'll be in the field. Tomorrow's running of the Rolex 24 at Daytona, coming your way on ESPN2 beginning at 12:30 with our On the Grid show. 12:30 Eastern time, of course.
Now, as he comes into the bus stop chicane here, be careful not to drop any wheels off. IMSA has said that unlike last year, when everybody was kicking up dust and scattering it all over the track, if you consistently put 2 wheels off and kick dirt up on the track, they're going to black flag you, because it did create a serious situation for some cars. You get in there, you didn't know there'd be so much dust, and you'd be spinning right off into the wall.
You've driven these cars, Marty. What kind of speed would you reckon they approach that chicane at?
You're flat through the throttle all the way down, and that's where you've got to find out how good your brakes are and how much courage you've got inside, because as you could see, Boris Said has plenty of confidence in his driving ability. He was able to outbrake everybody. Are his brakes better than the other cars? Who really knows? I've never driven that Toyota Supra, but I'll tell you what, I'd like to.
There is Nick Ham in his Mazda Turbo, holding down second place. Said goes through the picture. Red car is running in another class. There goes Ham. Now here's the battle for third. 92, Dave Shart trying to hold off Jason Priestley.
Biggest thing is, with this only being a 2-hour race, this is not going to be a factor for tires. These guys can go ahead and these Toyotas will go the distance as long as you don't do any damage, like flat spotting them in a spin or getting cutting one down like we saw a little bit earlier. So they don't have to worry about that. They shouldn't have to worry about brakes either.
Jason Priestley is far from the first driver with, shall we say, an interesting sort of day job, the first celebrity to come through this series. Years ago at my home track, Road Atlanta, I recall watching NASCAR car owner par excellence Rick Hendricks sharing a machine with actor Tom Cruise.
Well, I'll tell you what, if Jason keeps this kind of performance up, nobody will be coming to the interview about being an actor.
Toyota getting sideways, back end wanting to come around. I think maybe he wanted to get that turbo spooled up as soon as possible with Priestley right there. Now the Mustang is underneath, and this is where he can get him. More traffic ahead.
And there is his co-driver, Andy Pilgrim, who is very anxious, I can tell, but he's got to be very happy.
Under braking for the chicane.
The Mustang looks like it's got better brakes than the Toyota right now, because if you notice there, the Toyota sort of fell back a little bit. So that may be the one advantage that they've got, and they can use that, especially when it comes to traffic.
Speaking of brakes, we've got one coming up. We'll be back for more live coverage of the IMSA Endurance Championship from Daytona. Everybody having a great time at the World Center of Racing. Welcome back live to Daytona International Speedway. Ford Mustang Cobra of Boris Said leads the way in the IMSA Endurance Championship. Coming up tonight on ESPN in prime time. Day 2 of the Winter X Games from Big Bear Mountain, California. The difficulty finals for men and women in ice climbing, practice and preliminary for the women in snow biking, and the half pipe on snowboards, the prelims for men and women, and the finals as well. Starting at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN, catch the Winter X.
Watching Boris Said, you know, we talked about all his experience in road racing. One of the interesting things, if you were with us a couple weeks ago on our NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series debut, he was in the Irvin Simo vehicle and needed a provisional to get in and was the first to admit. He said, man, I have a ton to learn about racing ovals with these guys.
Not the first guy to say that. Those ovals aren't as easy as they look.
It'll be interesting to see when we go to Watkins Glen, though, and those kinds of tracks, Topeka, when he'll get to show his talents.
Jason Priestley now putting the moves on Nick Ham for second place in this race.
No, that was the team car. I think that's Tremblay, the 71 car, not the 70 car.
Did I get carried away?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It's 71 instead of 70. It's easy enough to do. There's only 75 here. This is when we wish we were doing basketball with 10 guys to worry about, right?
I am willing Jason Priestley on until he can hand it over to Andy Pilgrim.
Andy's going to be real happy if Jason keeps this up running and good.
Lead for Boris Said up to almost 6 seconds.
Well, there's Stu Hayner, and he's got a good battle going on with the number 90 machine. And that's got Scooter Gable in the cockpit of the Mustang Cobra. So we got a little Ford competition going on with the Pontiac. That's what's great about this series, too. Spectators can identify with the cars. And it's amazing as the spectators get down and start looking at the machines, they start thinking about, I wonder if I could do that with mine at home.
I'm surprised how easy it is. This is for 7th place.
Stu Hainer, another one of the guys that's also going to be driving in the Rolex 24. He's in the number 91 GTS 1 car. And yesterday I saw him put it off the course for the first time. And whoa, look out. Getting loose there, coming around the corner. That will open the door for Stu Hainer to get on the throttle. And even he said, it's the first time I can remember having 4 wheels off. Because the driver here in a long, long time. And what it was, they changed all the gearing in the car and it changed all his shift points. And he missed the gear.
Let's talk about strategy a little bit now. Here's Jan Bikas.
Well, we always talk about pit windows. What is a pit window for this particular series? Well, in order to score points, you have to drive 25% of the distance. Well, because of the unique nature of this race being an hour and 50 minutes long, that number equates to 27.5 minutes. So it's been quiet down here on pit road for about 25 minutes into the race. So if you have a problem with your car, or if you have the slowest driver in the car, you might see somebody on pit road in a couple of minutes, guys.
This is the time that everybody's starting to wonder, will that first full course yellow come out?
Keep in mind the cars are heavy with fuel when the race begins as well, so you have to balance your driver's strength when you decide your strategy for the race. Right now, Boris said having it all his own way as he expands his lead over Nick Hem in a Mazda and Jason Priestley in another Ford Mustang. We'll take a timeout. Back with more preparations for pit stops coming up. Back live at Daytona International Speedway. The opening round of the IMSA Endurance Championship continues. Bob Barsham, Marty Reed along with you. We've had action in the pit lane, and this is dramatic. Our 4th placed car, Kelly Collins.
He was black flagged by IMSA officials, we're being told, and I don't know what the penalty was for, but we're going to find out.
There is Collins bringing it around to the pit exit. Let's learn more with Jan Bikas.
Well, the reason that number 92 machine was brought on pit road for a stop and go is he dropped the wheel off in the bus stop chicane. They consider that shortcutting the chicane. We've had about 4 cars down here with that penalty, but that's definitely the highest running car we've seen so far, guys. Bill?
And Jan, down here, this is Jason Priestley's pit. The IMSA official just came down and said these stop-and-go penalties you're seeing are for dropping tires off the racing surface. This is the second time they've warned these guys about doing this. They want to keep them on the track. Now, Andy Pilgrim is the veteran driver, co-teamed with Jason Priestley. He's doing a fine job. Excellent teaching.
Well, I don't know about excellent teaching. I think he's a natural. He's doing real well. He listens real well, which makes sense if you think about what he does for a living outside here. He's doing really well on his own right.
Obviously, you're a champion in this series. He's a young up-and-coming driver, takes it very seriously. That's an interesting combination. You started him first, and what was your thinking behind that, Andy?
Basically, we just get an idea when the car's nice and new at the beginning of the race. It gives him an ability to go a little harder than he might be able to at the end.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, while Bill Weber was talking with Andy Pilgrim, Boris said in the number 20 car to the right side of your screen, found himself an adventure coming off the chicane and up onto the banking.
Yeah, Hugh Johnson pulls down the inside. He literally had to go on the apron, and that is not very good because there's a lot of marbles and stuff down there. And look how far he drifts back up. I'm sure that Boris is glad he made it through that one.
They said using all the track and then some in the International Horseshoe.
And if he'd have been in his super truck or a Winston Cup car, I think he would have been sliding to the wall there.
Let me correct something I said. It was Kelly Collins bringing the number 92 car in for that stop and go. I believe Dave Shart's still behind the wheel of that car.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that since they had the penalty and they were in that position and Collins is the quicker driver of the two, why not go ahead and make the driver change? They're past the limit, and because they've already lost that track position, you might as well have gotten your fast guy in, but that's why we race.
Boris said up front, second generation racer. Second is Nick Ham, third Jason Priestley. The sun begins to get low here at Daytona International Speedway.
And the only spot where the sun really comes into play is coming up onto the banking into NASCAR 1, and it's just a brief little flash. Right there, you're in shadow, and by then, as you can see, it's on the back deck, so it's really not a factor here.
Up to top speed on the back straightaway. Here's our class leader in the sports class, a BMW.
Mark Lawrence behind the wheel of the 328 IS and doing very well so far. Remember, 4 different classes of racing, and he is 27th overall.
Tells you something about the number of grand sports cars we've got out here who are very, very competitive. Lawrence out of Trumbull, Connecticut.
I'll tell you, the one thing you don't want to do in those BMWs or the Porsches is bend up the fenders. It's a lot more expensive to fix those than it is a Pontiac.
I'll bet. Mark Lawrence sharing with Jeff McMillan on the weekend. Leader Boris Said completes another lap. He's now 13 laps into this race, but it is a timed race, 1 hour and 50 minutes. Now let's take a look at the interval from our leader back to the second place car of Nick Ham.
And I think that's Nick coming into view. Is that Nick right there? Second place. Yep, I think that is right there. Boy, it's tough with all the traffic there. Yep, that was Nick in that 33 car. That's the problem with all those Joe Aquilani cars. They're all painted the same paint scheme, that black and gold, but that's the 33, not the 32.
Well, you notice how dirty it was getting down there in the International Horseshoe. That's another reason they want guys to keep cars on the racetrack, is to keep that dirt off. Keep the racing line clean.
There's Nick Ham, and he is trying to work on it. Billy, you got something else on the 70 car?
Well, just that this was going to be a 2-hour race, and obviously, so we could show everybody the finish and get a word with the winner, it was shortened to 1 hour and 50 minutes. Now, normally that's not a big deal, but it is for the 70 car and the 71, because they could probably only go 58 minutes on a full load of fuel. If this had been a full 2-hour race, they might have had to make a second stop, but since it was shortened by 10 minutes, they'll only have to make one stop. They're a fast car. Nick Ham told me they have a good shot at winning here because it's a light car, easy on the brakes, but because of the fuel mileage factor in a 2-hour race, they might have had to make 2 stops, 1 hour and 50 minutes, just one.
So there were some smiles in the drivers' meeting when that bulletin was announced. Rolling through the infield chicane, Nick Ham runs in second place. One relaxing in the pit lane. There are driver changes to come. Out of the shadows of NASCAR turns 1 and 2 on the oval at Daytona International Speedway and into the bright sunlight. IMSA Endurance Championship race leader Boris Said has now extended his lead over the second place car of Nick Ham to approximately 11 seconds. That was at the start finish line of the previous lap. And with all the traffic of this 75 car field out there, that lead is expanding and contracting constantly.
Our crack stats man, Dave Arnold, just passed on something that even I didn't know about Boris. He's second generation. His father drove in the first U.S. Grand Prix at Sebring and the first Daytona 500 back in 1951.
Didn't I say earlier he was a second generation driver?
But I didn't know the events that he was in. I mean, that's amazing.
Battle for 6th.
I think it's 7th, but yeah, it is 7th. It's okay. And that is John Kohler in front of Stu Hainer right there. No, he's got lap traffic in front. Watch Hainer now. Hainer's going to take advantage.
Oh, I think there might have been a bit of a touch there.
I don't think he knew which way John was going to go. I don't think John knew which way he was going to go. Well, they both survived. It doesn't look the worse for wear. If he's got a little nose damage, it's not enough to get back into the radiator portion of the car.
Down in the pits. Here's Jan Beekes.
One of the grand sports cars is into the pits. That's the 08 machine, the Pontiac Firebird, and they're having some problems at the moment. There's going to be a driver change, but I think it's only to try and find the problems on this car. The hood came up immediately. Now the engine has been shut down, and they are going for the oil. They're going for the dipstick. So it looks as though they have an internal engine problem, and getting into the car at the moment is one of the more experienced drivers who's going to go out there and try and find what this problem might be.
Frank Del Vecchio started that car. They started 16th. Obviously, their chances of a successful finish in this opening round of the 10-race IMSA Endurance Championship in 1997, his hopes are evaporating quickly.
You can make the driver change. If you don't have too much of a problem like that stop and go penalty that we saw earlier, you can make the driver change before going the lap down if you're close enough to that front pack. Takes about 2 minutes 6, 2 minutes 7 seconds to get around. Now here are the class leaders. Barcet still up front.
Barcet in the sports class. Lawrence, whom we saw earlier. And then in touring and compact, the smaller cars just a bit less powerful. They're having a race each in their own class.
Yeah, Joe Nonamaker and John Phillips in those 2 other divisions. And boy, once you get swept up in this, you literally, when you come to one of these events, you look at any corner and you're going to find somebody passing somebody someplace.
Morris said flashes to the start-finish line. Complete another lap as the sun continues to sink low here in North Florida.
He looked a little twitchy there for a second.
He's been twitchy all the way around. Boris is not taking it easy here.
Sean Hendricks may be looking at this and saying, hey, come on, give me something to work with.
There's Dave Shard of the number 92 car. Was black flagged earlier. They chose not to make the driver change then. But with that Toyota Supra Turbo, he's trying to work his way back through the field. He's on the infield chicane. Headed for turns 3 and 4. He runs in 13th position right now, so he is improving steadily.
This would be a nice little comeback for this team. But remember, they still have to make their pit stop.
The race has been surprisingly free of incident or attrition to this point. Only one major crash that we've seen. A spin on the horseshoe. We've got cars everywhere on the infield.
Looks like everybody's going to survive it, but it was close.
Interesting routes. I don't know which car started it. Somebody spun on the racing line. People took evasive action. Now up to 12th place is Dave Sharp.
Yeah, he just got around Matt Turner in the 17. That's another Mustang Cobra R. Nice paint job on that car, too.
There are some beautifully turned out cars in this series, we should add. All that dirt on the horseshoe.
Yeah, and here's the reason why. I mean, you're going to see rush hour traffic, and it's going to be a log jam. That is the 81 that's going to start things off there on the inside. Mike Fitzgerald. Oh, and just tagged from behind by the 07.
Not exactly a spin. That was a, excuse me, the 07 Oldsmobile Achieva shared by Tim Falanga and Chad Zanheiser. That hurt. Ouch.
He's picking his way here in the 92 Chard. He's doing a good job. Now that 97 car is not in his class. He's much faster than that Mazda. And on up onto the banking now, and he's trying to catch the 3 car, which is driven right now by Bernie Cochran. In fact, there is his target. That's Bernie in the number 3 Pontiac Firebird Formula.
Chard is not that far behind. They make him about 15 or 20 car lengths as Cochran breaks for the chicane. Bernie Cochran out of Ephrata, Pennsylvania.
Chard's now shown in 11th position, and Cochran is he's going to be a victim here pretty soon.
He too has a strong driving partner. David Murray will get into Cochran's car when the driver change is made. Right now, the man on the move is right there in the middle of your picture. We'll be back with more from Daytona in a moment. Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. One slightly second-hand Honda is now in the pits. That's the machine of Kim Leal and Bob Beatty. Earlier we saw them in the tire wall on the International Horseshoe.
Yeah, this is the downside of street stock racing. That's what your car would look like if you do this at home.
Let's call out your body, man. Down to Bill Weber.
And obviously a lot of damage on this car, and Kim is here. Tough way to get on TV, but what happened out there?
I was just on a tough battle with about 3 or 4 cars. Just going into the International Horseshoe. One of the cars in front of me was kind of braking a little bit early and just lost it into the tire wall.
A lot of traffic.
There was a lot of traffic, yeah. There were about 4 of us that were very close to the same pace. And
you're okay.
What can I say? I'm all right. Car's not good.
There is your leader, Boris said, in the white number 20 Ford Mustang, dealing with some of the traffic you just heard Kim Leal talk about. And that's one of the Porsches you were discussing earlier, Marty, that once ruled this series.
Yeah, they did. Dave Shep's behind the wheel in that one, and that brings pains to my chest watching that car get blown away like that.
I didn't know you were such a Porsche fanatic, Marty.
Well, that's what I drove back when we were racing this series. Look at Boris all over the track, down on the apron again. He is not going to give up the pace. He wants to get a nice lead because just in case we don't get a full course yellow, he wants as much time as he can.
We saw the brake lights flashing as he breathed those brakes through the corner. Forcing a spin there. Boris working the brakes. I don't know if he's having to pump the pedal up or if he's just trying to conserve his brakes.
Usually that's a sign that you're having a bit of fade. Now he could be cramped. Whoa, there's a car that got loose also. That looks like one of the BMW. Through there a little bit sideways. In fact, that is our class leader in sports division. So he's pushing it kind of hard at this point. I think some of these, I think everybody thought there would be an early full course yellow, and these guys are doing a great job here, first race out of the season.
Second in Grand Sports and in the overall standings, Nick Ham in his Mazda Turbo. But he is losing ground to the race leader, Boris Said.
One of the questions I'd like to see now is Jason Priestley reeling in second place? Because, that was close also.
You see the cars lurch like that. Granted, there's a lot of body roll in a car that's basically built for street use. Now when it's element on a racetrack. But boy, sometimes it looks like there's contact. There's Jason Priestley. Looks like he's pretty much holding station.
Hey, if he brings this car to Andy Pilgrim in third place with plenty of brakes left, this car is going to be in contention for the win.
That'll do a lot for Jason Priestley's reputation. Well, we have Craig T. Nelson, a fellow TV actor, racing in the Rolex 24 here at Daytona on ESPN2. Then we can have an all-television car somewhere in this race. They put a couple of TV announcers in.
A lot of lap traffic there in front of the 92 car as Dave Shart, and there's the 3 car. Now Shart, remember, he is now in 11th. Bernie Cochran is his next target in the number 3 car, and right in front of him, that 57 car, that's a real interesting story. Shane Lewis and Ed Zabinski, right there you saw it go through your screen there. That car ran up the mountain at Pikes Peak a couple of years ago when the Bridgestone Supercar Series was competing out there.
Right, in fact, switching over to a car more suited for running up the mountain. What brought Sean Hendrick the title that year.
Yeah, he ran into a 4-wheel drive Mitsubishi, the only 4-wheel drive, and it paid off for him.
Cochran there. Now that's where I'd expect Shark to really close up on him, but he didn't that time.
Well, we'll find out, especially under braking, because it still looks like the best braking cars are the Mustangs, and then it might be a toss-up between the Pontiacs and the Toyotas.
Through the chicane and up onto the banking of NASCAR turns 3 and 4. There is Boris Said. Now he is on the infield, well ahead of the battle you just saw. Boris Said continues to draw away. Remember, we still have driver changes. This race could take on a whole new complexion very shortly. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Daytona, and there's just about to be action in the pits. Eric Van Cleef, the driver of the number 88 machine, you're just about to get in. Why pit now?
The fuel light just came on, and we're not sure how far the car will go after the fuel light comes on, so we're going to go ahead and pit now. We're in our window.
Okay, here it is. Let's watch it. This is the top runner we've seen so far coming in to make this pit stop. It's the 88 twin-turbo Supra. Eric Van Cleef, who won the championship in a normally aspirated Toyota Supra, is going to be getting into the car.
This comes just before the 1 hour mark. So if this is to be the one and only stop for this team, it could be close.
Hey, Jan, give Chuck Goldsboro a pat on the back. Tell him that was a great run. He has put his team in a position to win this race, and that's what your first driver needs to do.
Yes, he's done a great job. As soon as they get this driver change done, maybe we'll try and get a word with him. They are checking this car pretty carefully for tire wear. Of course, the reason this stop is so much slower than what we're used to is the amount of fuel that has to go into the car. So that's why it appears as though the crew at the moment is somewhat relaxed. They're just waiting for that last bit of fuel.
Well, the one thing we have learned on those Toyotas is they gobble up the fuel. They're the first ones in. The 92 car's in.
Now there you see on the right the number 92 car of Dave Shart. He was chasing the number 3 car over there on the left of Bernie Cochran. Both cars making a mandatory stop now. he could pick up a position. Could Chart, or he'll hand off to Kelly Collins. They could pick up a spot in the pits if they can work quickly enough.
And David Murray will take over in the 3 car, so this could get very, very interesting. And our leader has just come by the start-finish line, so both these vehicles now are a lap down. The 88, the 92, and the 3 car. But remember, the 20 car has got to go for its pit stop yet.
71 having to be pushed back into its spot. Now 1 hour officially remaining in the race. The 88 car is in the pits.
Jan, you caught up with Chuck Goldsboro?
Yes, that's right. The 88 car is still on pit road. Now it comes off the jack, and it's out of here. Boy, that fuel took a very, very long time. Let's turn and talk to the driver who was in that car, Chuck Goldsboro. Tell me, was that longer than you expected? Why did the fuel take so long?
I don't know. This is the first race we've had to do this car, and so we don't know the length of the pit stops, how long we can run it out. We got to learn this car. It's the first time for the season, so we've got a lot of learning to do.
Now tell me, it's also the first time for you to ever start on pole position in any race. What was it like? You did a good job.
It was tough. Eric told me not to hold the pole. He goes, there are going to be some guys, like Boris said, that want to push on through. Let them. He said keep it in the top 5, so I tried to keep it in, I forget, either 3rd, 4th, or 5th. And we held it there. I did just what Eric asked me to do.
So can Eric go to the front?
Oh, yeah. The track is real slick, and nobody has an advantage in the bus stop chicane because of all the dirt and crap on the track. So Eric will pull it back.
Thanks, and good job.
Thanks.
It was a good job. Chuck can be very proud. Look at the 79. Now, this is a Mazda RX-7 turbo. And you want to know what happens when your turbo's going bad? Well, you can kill an awful lot of mosquitoes.
David Shep from Ontario, Canada. Obviously, he is losing power in that car, but he has been laying down a spectacular smoke screen on the infield section, that kind of thing.
It's just got indigestion. See, it just burps every now and then. That's what it's doing.
Been there, done that. However,
there's your leader.
To the line comes Boris Said, who still has a driver change to make. He remains in control, and we'll be back for more of the opening round of the IMSA Endurance Championship. We are back live at Daytona International Speedway. Boris Said continues to lead the opening round of the IMSA Endurance Championship, but he has a mandatory pit stop coming before he hands over to Sean Hendricks. Pit action. Let's get down to Bill Weber.
And the number 2 Firebird is on pit road, and now we've got a car pulling off the front stretch, a car smoking, pulling off the front stretch onto the grass, trying to get out of the way and avoid bringing out the caution. But they're being held by the NASCAR, or by the IMSA official right now. And the 47 Zippo Mustang sitting in the grass in the tri-oval here at Daytona, looking to get the driver out. Meanwhile, the number 2 car, which was 5th, has Doug Goden in it, and it's pulled away. Back up top to you guys.
That car number 47 is shared by John Kohler and Gary Smith out of Bradford, Pennsylvania in the Grand Sports class.
Yeah, and Gary has already all the matches and lights that he needs from Zippo. He didn't need to light that one up.
But steam, perhaps. That's the fitting of the cooling system.
Yeah, they had some problems. They had lost several laps, and he had just gotten back out. So obviously, whatever they had tried to fix, it did not work. And Gary, they're going to have to wait till next time out.
Let's get to Bill Weber.
And Gary Smith has climbed from the car. You're okay?
Oh, yeah, fine. Just
what happened?
Blew up the motor there. Started running pretty rough. Came in, changed drivers, see if we could make some adjustments with the wiring, see if it would make a difference. It went 1 lap and blew up. It was bottom end came out of the motor, it looks like.
You got it out of the way, too.
Yeah, well, I was worried about spraying oil all over the thing there. I didn't know whether to go up high, stay out of the way. And I could see I could come down low with no problem, so got it off the track. I didn't really want to mess up their grass here, but it was better than parking it in the middle of the surface.
Okay, Gary Smith, he's okay.
And Gary did a nice job, because I was looking down there, and all the oil is off way down below the race line.
So there's the end of that effort. Here's a look at our class leaders. Boris Said, who still has to make his driver change. Mark Lawrence continues to lead in the sports class.
Steve Nowicki down in the touring class. That's a change there with the number 49. But Joe Nonamaker still in the touring division. I should say Nowicki in the compact division. That's a change. Nonamaker holding station in first place in touring.
Steve Nowicki is a former top Sports Car Club of America shoe in the Pro Rally.
Looking for the 70 now of Nick Ham. These two have yet to make their pit stop. And oh man, Boris is killing these guys.
We've got another smoker on the racetrack across the start-finish line.
That's the 75, and that is Hugh Johnson. That's a Nissan 300ZX. And
Nelson and Peter Tonelli.
I don't think he's enjoying the ride right now.
Man, smoke everywhere. Daytona International Speedway enveloped in a haze with car breakage. You see the numbers on Johnson. We'll take a quick break and return for more live action from Daytona International Speedway. We've got a long way to go in this one. There could be drama waiting. Stay with us. Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. That is the second place car of Nick Ham. We expect his pit stop and mandatory driver change to be coming up very shortly.
Yeah, we saw him wiggle during the break as if maybe he was running out of fuel or possibly a fuel pickup problem. We'll see what happens if he has to do the same thing on the banking here in NASCAR 3.
We'll be handing off to Sylvain Tremblay.
So far, so good. No wiggle this time to try and get the fuel to slosh around in that tank. If he's going to pit, here he comes. And those guys are ready for him.
And it is quiet in pit lane, so Nick Ham and Sylvain Tremblay will have the advantage of not much traffic out there.
And it looked like Jason Priestley lost his hood just in the front straightaway as they're coming into pit lane. Look out. It is Priestley's hood that has flown off, and there is debris all over the straight. And watch out, that might be enough to bring out a yellow.
That hood has been hit by another car and shattered as you watch Nick Ham bring his Mazda to a stop. There's Jason Priestley. You see that the hood is gone. There's something flapping around in the engine compartment. That hood landed just short of the tri-oval. Let's get down to Bill Weber.
And the number 70 Mazda really pushed it. They said their fuel window was 58 to a max of an hour and 3 minutes. They are on pit road now. They will be able to go the rest of the way if they can get all that fuel in. Nick Ham is a former series champ. He's climbed out. Tremblay now sits in the Mazda. It takes forever to fuel these cars. These are gravity-fed fueling systems. It's the exact same nozzle you would use when you went to your local filling station. So it takes a long, long time to get this fuel in. Then you have to be exceptionally careful to make sure under these circumstances you get all the fuel in. Remember, this car does have a fuel problem as far as making the distance. They feel very comfortable with it now. They're holding Tremblay here on pit road for just that purpose. They did not change tires, something you don't often see. A lot of times these tires in this series can go the distance because they're shaved to a racing depth. Now the yellow is out. The yellow is out, and this will really help and hurt some drivers. The yellow is for Priestley because he is the guy that lost the hood. Tremblay's away. Back up to you, Bob.
Well, what a break it'll be for the race leaders, Boris Said and Sean Hendricks.
Now expect Boris to duck for the pits as soon as he possibly can, because they could probably make the change, because the pace car will not pick him up until they go back out onto NASCAR 1. So if he is coming around, I'm trying to pick up where he is on the racetrack. Now there's Priestley. He should be coming for the pits also, because they can get in and get out before they pick up the race leader, and this could be a big, big benefit.
Well, we'll take a quick break and be back to watch the drama unfold. Pit stops coming under yellow at Daytona International Speedway. Welcome back live to Daytona International Speedway. You see repairs going on in the car of Jason Priestley. Look at the dent in the hood that was created when the engine bonnet or engine cover got up into the slipstream and smashed back onto the roof of the car, breaking the windshield wipers, shattering the windshield. Large cracks across Andy Pilgrim's field of view.
What a great break, though, for this team. They were able to pit under yellow.
Andy Pilgrim begins to bring the car back on the track, down to Bill Weber.
And we welcome all of you watching on ESPN News to our ESPN2 coverage of the Daytona USA 2-hour event here. Jason Priestley's just climbed from your car after a unusual experience. You lost the hood. Heavy damage to the windshield and the roof of the car.
Yeah, I lost the hood. I was having to draft a lot of guys. I lost 5th gear about 45 minutes in. It just turned to mush, so I only had 4th gear, so I was drafting off everyone I could, and I guess I caught a funny updraft, and it just lifted the hood right off.
Obviously, Andy Pilgrim has told us about how your car has been, how your driving has been improving in that car.
Yeah, I've come a long way, you know, since the beginning of last year, and I was really excited about getting into the race today, coming back here to Daytona. You know, I finished 2nd here in the last race of last year, and I was doing really well, you know, and then 5th gear let go, but I was able to maintain my position, which was good. And, you know, the hood, I think we can buy another one.
Okay, that's Jason Priestley, Jan Beekes.
Couldn't be a better way to welcome our friends from ESPN News, but to show them the leader's pit stop. That's because Boris said here in the Mustang Cobra R, number 20, has just climbed from his car, and they are doing the fueling. Sean Hendricks has got in, but as we have seen from some of the previous stops here, the fuel takes a very long time. Let's go ahead and walk forward and try and get a word with Boris. Boris, what a great run that was. Man, you were just flying out there.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, the Duraglass Sport Mustang was really running good out there. So, I mean, it's just a blast, these races. A lot of traffic, just a lot of fun. Team Steed is doing a really good job. Car's really fast. So, hopefully, Ford will beat these Pontiacs and Mazdas today.
Now, you got caught behind the pace car. Did you have an opportunity to get here earlier, or did they catch you before you got here?
They caught me before. I mean, the yellow came out about 5 seconds after I went by pit in, so that was unfortunate. But I think the car's running real good, and I think we have a good chance to win.
How many positions do you think you'll lose because of the fact you got caught so quickly?
Well, everyone's got a pit, so I don't think it'll be too bad.
Okay, a confident Boris said. Let's go down to Bill Weber.
Well, John Heinrichs has now climbed in for Stu Hainer in the number 32 American Motorsport Pontiac Firebird. They changed rear tires and filled it with fuel, and they've gone back out onto the track, and we'll see if we can walk up here and get a word with Stu Hainer, who just climbed out of that car. Obviously, an unusual situation for you. You're usually the fast guy, but you're chasing some very fast cars.
Yeah, we're really handling great. The car's wonderful in the braking, wonderful in the corners, but this guy's got a lot more talent than we do. They go down the straightaway about 10 or 15 miles an hour faster, so we're going to have to learn how to do that. But I think the car's going to be fine. I think as long as John keep up the pace, I think it looks like we're getting a little better fuel mileage than other people. I still have good hopes.
Okay, that's Stu Hainer. He and his teammate won here a year ago. Lots of action here. Continues on ESPN2. For your ESPN News viewers, let's go back to the studio.
All right, thank you, Bill. Still under caution. We'll take a quick break and hope to get things cleaned up and a green flag as we continue with Daytona, USA, 2 hours, opening round of the IMSA Endurance Championship. Daytona International Speedway there, car number 4. Rob Walton was behind the lead. He is making his mandatory, behind the wheel that is, was in the lead, making his mandatory pit stop. Looks like they're taking a long look at that car, and they will give up that lead. We are still under caution. We anticipate a green flag this time around.
In fact, we're already back to green as they throw it not at the start-finish line because they don't want that jam up going into turn 1. And so we're back under green flag conditions, and it'll be interesting to see how this all sorts out. I'm still curious because Jason Priestley was able to get his car in before Boris said, but right now scoring is saying that the Boris said number 20 car, now taken over by Sean Hendricks, is in front of Andy Pilgrim, and then the 32 car with John Heinrichs enlisted in 3rd.
Rob Walton, Don Knowles' machine down and out of the pits well before the field makes its way down to the start-finish line. There's car number 20. Boris said is out. Sean Hendricks is in.
I still don't figure out how that worked because they had to go one more lap all the way around, and Jason Priestley and Andy Pilgrim pitted right away and were able to get out before the 20 car came back around. There's Andy Pilgrim.
Some fairly lengthy repairs on the Jason Priestley Andy Pilgrim car. Pilgrim now behind the wheel. An 87 race finishing streak on the line here today. The car looks healthy. Appears to be running at good speed. Just a slight aerodynamic change.
Yeah, the one car that got caught out badly in this whole exchange was the 70, Nick Ham and Sylvain Tremblay. They have dropped all the way down to 9th place because of the sequence of when they made their pit stop.
In fact, Tremblay was racing around trying to catch up with the train when the green came out. So they are in real no man's land right now.
Well, this is going to be interesting because we are told that Boris Said and Sean Hendricks, now behind the wheel with all the traffic, is the overall race leader as he was able to stay on the front pace.
Now, Hendricks trying to get around traffic, find a clear piece of racetrack, and he does.
And then when you see the 46 car, and it's going to be easy to spot Andy Pilgrim the rest of the afternoon. He's got some ground to make up. He's got some lappers in between him as well.
Whoa, off big time.
49, that is Steve Nowicki. That was our leader in the compact division last time that we had checked in with them. And they, of course, have made their pit stop. So either Carl, I think Carl Hulcher is in the car right now. So Carl, a little off-course excursion.
This is a Honda Civic Del Sol SI making its debut in this class, and that's what happens when you get those wheels off.
Man, he almost got T-boned there. One of the Joe Aquilani American Motorsports cars.
Didn't lift until all the grass was about mowed. Meanwhile, Sean Hendricks, as the shadows continue to lengthen on the backstretch here at Daytona International Speedway, trying to hold up his end of the deal, having taken over for Boris Said.
Another beneficiary is in 3rd place right now of when the yellow came out. The number 90 of Scooter Gable and Terry Borchler, and I think Borchler's in the car right now. They're in 3rd place.
On the NASCAR Oval, taking a look at the gap once again. Back at the 2nd place car of Andy Pilgrim.
Don't see him yet.
Nowhere to be seen.
Lack of 5th gear maybe hurting him.
And on top of everything else, he has no top gear in that car. Well, he, like his teammate, will be drafting as much as possible. We'll take a break. Live action continues from the opening round of the IMSA Endurance Championship. There's your top 10. A little over 36 minutes remaining in the race. Stand by for more from Daytona. Back live at Daytona International Speedway. Sean Hendricks in the number 20 Ford Mustang Cobra leads the way in the opening round of the IMSA Endurance Championship, live here on the Deuce. Coming up after our coverage of this event, NASCAR Shop Talk with Alan Bestwick, Bill Weber, and guest Steve Wade, editor of Winston Cup Scene magazine.
You know, while we're watching race leader Sean Hendricks, we should also point out the 2 Toyota Supras that were so quick in the early go. They got caught out by this yellow also because Eric Van Cleef is now 11th place, a lap down, and Kelly Collins is 16th, and he's also a lap down. So that inability to stretch that fuel really hurt the 2 Toyotas.
We'll go for 6th coming up. Zabinski in car number 57.
21 is Steve Pepper and Chuck Snipes.
Heavy traffic. Amazing how this broad expanse of tri-oval narrows down in turn 1, and you may have all kinds of racetrack to race on until you get down there, and then you find that you've got 3 and 4 cars in close quarters.
I think that's Ed Zabinski behind the wheel right now. And there's the 21 car.
By Hanover, New Hampshire, almost Dartmouth College. A little long on the brake pedal there, too. Yeah, 57 getting overtaken on the entry to that 2nd infield hairpin.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's something wrong with that. Is either a sports or a touring car that just went by him. Yeah, he's got a problem. He's waving everybody by him.
Definitely.
So Zabinski's got a problem in the 57 car.
Thus ends that battle. Problems begin for Ed Zabinski.
Oop, somebody off course. The 18's going to take the merry-go-round. That's Dan Lewis and Tommy Johnson. And Tommy Johnson's behind the wheel right now.
Mazda Miata in the compact.
Okay, is he going to try to take a field goal here? Because that's race leader Sean Hendricks, and he looked like he was taking a peek at it.
Going through the uprights, you mean?
Uh-huh, there it comes.
And this is what I'm talking about down in turn 1, and all those black streaks of rubber tell you some folks get in there just a little too quickly. Just look at our class leader, Sean Hendricks, taking over for Boris Said at the head of the train.
And a great run going on right now for the 9 car in the BMW and sports division. Jeff McMillan now behind the wheel. Joe Nonamaker in the 43. And Dave Doherty has taken over in the compact division, the number 78. That's a Nissan 200SX.
Another graduate of IMSA's Bridgestone Supercar Championship a few years back. This is for third.
So Andy Pilgrim has got the 32 of Stu Hayner under his gun sights, and that is for third position on the racetrack. While we were watching that other battle, Gable, that car, the number 90, managed to move up into second spot.
The 46 car, classic example of the Mustang Cobra R, built for showroom stock racing. 20-gallon fuel cell fiberglass pieces, as we saw when the engine cover came off and shattered all over the tri-oval. Only 250 built, sold primarily to racers. In fact, sold entirely to racers. Well, not as pretty as it was when the race began, but still pretty effective in the hands of Andy Pilgrim.
Worst part about it is they can't even go out and collect what the hood that came off. I mean, it's in 1,000 pieces out there.
No, they'll definitely have to go buy a new one, as Jason Priestley mentioned. Onto the backstretch, up to top speed, but once again operating without fifth gear. Remarkable job. A bulletproof car for Andy Pilgrim. Meanwhile, there's the race leader, Sean Hendricks, consolidating the lead built by Boris Said. We'll be back with more live from Daytona International Speedway after this. Back at Daytona International Speedway, we are under full course caution for the second time in this opening round of the IMSA Endurance Championship. We see one of the drivers in a 2-car incident in the chicane that has brought out the safety car.
And it was one of our early leaders in the compact division, the Steve Nowicki Holcher car, the 49 Civic Del Sol, one of the 2 cars involved, the number 49, along with the 07, we're told, of Tim Falenga and Chad Zanheiser. So I don't know exactly who was behind the wheel of the 07, but the 49 car is not going to be in competition any longer.
See the field bunching up. Sean Hendricks, first car behind the safety car to the left of your screen. Coming down the backstretch, they're approaching the scene of the accident.
The reason we can't show it to you is because the retaining wall there, they're right up against it, and it is high enough that both cars are hidden. They went into the chicane and got tangled up and are in the wall and the tire barrier, and all you can see is about the top of the wrecking crew that's over there, and the lights you can see, and that's about it, as they'll try and drag those 2 pieces out, and everybody will circulate. I doubt we'll see any more pit stops unless somebody has a problem from this point on. They don't want to give up the track position, and there you can just see the wrecker, and right down there to the lower right hand of the portion of the screen is one of the 2 vehicles that were involved.
That appears to be the second driver standing atop the berm, so both drivers out and okay. Thanks to that handy ladder to the left that allows him to hop the wall. So for the second time, the field slows down behind the pace car. We are under full course caution. No action in pit lane. We'll take a timeout and return for more. Less than 30 minutes to go in today's running of the IMSA Endurance Championship. Back still under full course caution at Daytona International Speedway. Our live coverage of the opening round of the IMSA Endurance Championship. The Daytona USA 2 hours continues. Bob Varsha, Marty Reed with you. Jan Beekes and Bill Weber patrolling the pit lane. The gap from our first to the second place car in this train behind the safety car is 7. Sean Hendricks follows the safety car immediately, and then it's 7 cars back to the second place car.
And there are 11 cars on the lead lap, so that yellow really played a strategic part in this race, especially all the Toyota Supras and the Mazda RX-7 turbos.
There without its hood, you see the number 46 machine of Andy Pilgrim, who runs in third.
And Andy's gonna hate when he sees the videotape on this. He says, yeah, I can tell my car every time where.
The rest of the field. 4 different classes: Grand Sport, Sports Touring, and Compact, all running together here.
We're trying to find the 70, first driven by Nick Ham, now Sylvain Tremblay, and that vehicle is 8th place overall, and we're still looking for it. That gives you an idea how much lap traffic is in the way. And there he is.
Earlier I mentioned the Ford Mustang that has run so dominantly here, and that Ford was built specifically, the Ford Mustang Cobra R, built specifically for this form of racing. There's actually a tradition of manufacturers coming up with special models for this sort of thing. The Camaro 1LE in 1987, the Porsche 944 S2 in 91, BMW M3 Lightweight in 1995. Let's get down to Bill Weber.
With former series champion Nick Ham, and you had a great start to this race. Timing was good. You stretched your fuel mileage. Then you were on pit road when the caution came out.
Yeah, we just got unlucky there. Everything went according to plan to start with. We pitted, got the gas mileage we needed on the first stop. And then right after Sil went back out, the full course yellow came out. And what happened was the leader had just gone by us. So the pace car picked up the leader and we were behind. And they got a new rule this year where once they picked up the leader, that's the last time. There's no wave bys. So we got unlucky there. But this has helped us out a lot. We might now get back up in the top 5.
But you don't think you can catch the front runners?
Well, if he can, that's great. But I don't think so. That's an awful lot to do. You know, unless they have some problems, then maybe we can, you know. But he's capable of running some real fast times here. And we'll just keep our fingers crossed.
All right, good to see you. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thanks, Bill.
To Jan Beekes.
Well, Bill, the beneficiary of that whole outcome with the pace car was, of course, Boris Said. But Boris, you seem very surprised when I told you were leading. You thought that you were farther back. Why?
Yeah, we were a little mixed up because we saw the Mazda pit just before the yellow came out, but we didn't realize we lapped them on the track, so that was a little lucky. But you know, the Steeda car is really running good. These guys built a lot of good parts to make that Mustang really fast, so you know, it just feels good to be out front. And it's good because we're going to win the first IMSA race under the new ownership of Andy Evans, and that's kind of a special thing for us. You know, it's an exciting time for road racing, and this weekend's a big weekend for IMSA, a big weekend for Daytona. There's a lot of cars here, so I think we'll go down in history to win the first race. That'd be nice.
Isn't that awfully confident with quite a bit of time to go to say you've got this thing won? I mean, things can still go wrong. Why so confident?
Things can always go on in racing, but Sean Hendricks is a really good driver, and I think he's going to whip up on these boys pretty bad.
Anybody from behind at all that you would be at all concerned about?
Well, there's a lot of good guys. Andy Pilgrim and the other Mustang is going to be real tough, but Sean can drive a pretty wide car when he wants to, and he's got a lot of traffic between him and Andy, so I think Sean will do it. I got a lot of confidence in him.
Okay, we're getting ready to go to green, guys.
Thanks very much, Bill and Jan. We expect a green flag. Lights are out on the safety car. Once again, they'll take it on the backside. Here's a look at the top 10, all Grand Sports machines, led by the number 20 Mustang Cobra R, now piloted by Sean Hendricks. Through the top 20, you see the first incursion of the sports class cars, and further back the touring and compact machines.
And we'll take the green flag right at turn 1 of the NASCAR turn 1, we should say, and that will be coming up shortly.
And I'm not driving in this race. I'm going to look for the flag.
I guarantee you what happens is your radio guys get on there, and as soon as they see it here at start-finish line, they're yelling in your ear, green, 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 go get them.
That's worth mentioning, that they do wave the flag at the flag stand at the start-finish line as well, so that everybody in the building knows when the cars are back under green conditions. And look at him going 4 wide, battles for position. 46, Andy Pilgrim in the white car.
And John Heinrichs right in front of him. And look at the 92. Now, remember, that Supra, they are well down in the field right now. They're a lap down. So that's Kelly Collins trying to work his way back to the front.
Breaking for the chicane. Championship credentials of Andy Pilgrim, who also shared in the final round of the BPR Global GT Championship in Zhuhai, China. He shared a winning car in the GT2 category.
I think the thing that's significant here, we may be seeing the reflection of not having 5th gear for Andy Pilgrim, because the Pontiac has pulled away here. It'll be interesting to see if he can reel him back in.
Going to have to stay in it, brake as late as he possibly dares.
get through the infield, because he obviously won't need a 5th gear, but it does look like that lack of 5th gear may cost them here their chance of catching back up to the front.
All of the road and then some. We're pushing down the infield straight.
Race leader Sean Hendricks, 32-year-old, easily South Carolina, and that's a good place for him to live because he talks so easy. Sometimes you want to help him, he's so slow, but he's a great guy.
South Carolina. Man perhaps born to stock car racing. He does it in the sports cars.
Looking for the number 90, and right there going by, that's the gap to 2nd place. Gable gave way to Terry Borchler, and Borchler from Phoenix, Arizona. He has got to do a lot of catching up if he's going to catch Sean Hendricks. Hendricks has so much talent, so much skill and experience. And now we're going to find out the gap back to 3rd place as they go through the bus stop chicane.
Confirming it is Terry Borchler from Phoenix, Arizona, behind the wheel.
There's John Heinersey. He's 3rd on the racetrack. And with these guys won here last year, and you never can count them out. You know, everybody thought they didn't have quite the horses, but there they were at race end. 2 evenly matched drivers for each other that you take very good care of the equipment. And there's the gap back to 4th place, and Andy seems to be holding station pretty well.
Bilger, terrific GT car driver. In fact, in addition to driving in Zhuhai, China last year, he also drove in Brasilia, Brazil. Whoa, we got somebody off. Down in 1, car number 71.
Yeah, that was David Shep. Steve Earle behind the wheel right now. He was down in the 20s as far as the overall position was concerned.
Back to my point about Andy Pilgrim, who runs right behind the 71 car now. First, let's take another look.
Well, this is what happens when, see, if you get a little wide there and you get out on that loose stuff, all the marbles and the buildup, and you're too hot, you can't tuck it back in, and that's the end result.
You can see the cloud of dust the car raised as it spun. There he is. Pilgrim closing up now, getting back to Andy. Flew 165,000 miles last year to race not only in China, but also in Brazil, Canada, England, and at Le Mans in France.
Yeah. And he says that, oh, oops, sounds like we've got another accident over in the bus stop chicane. To finish up Andy's story real quick, he says that all he ever meets for girls to date are airline attendants.
3rd full course caution. Once again, it is in the chicane, and it appears that an ambulance is on the scene of this one. Let's hope the driver's all right. It is car number 99.
It's a Civic Del Sol. Alan Himes and Michael Himes, and Michael's behind the wheel right now.
There's the scene.
And again, tucked up right against the wall there, the barrier, and we can't give you an angle of what actually happened there.
Now we have a camera out at that location. However, we're having technical difficulties with it, so there's a better view.
That's the first time we've been able to see that shot, and you can see the hits that were taken.
See the problem we're having, right?
There's nothing wrong with your set. Don't bang it. It's our problem.
Now you see the car nosed. It appears to be nosed into the tires and through the tires. I wonder if it didn't come upon the scene of the previous accident that had shuffled those tire barriers around. Of course, they can only do so much good if they're hit repeatedly, and he might have found the concrete on the other side of the tires. And that will bring the field back together. First and second will be nose to tail for the restart. As the extrication continues at the scene of that accident, there is Sean Hendricks leading the way. The clock continues to run here at Daytona. Back live at Daytona, just under 13 minutes remaining in the opening round of the IMSA Endurance Championship for 1997. Bob Varsha and Marty Reed, glad to have you with us. There is Sean Hendricks from South Carolina leading the way But instead of having a great big chunk of racetrack between himself and the next car, they are bunched up behind a safety car. Take a look at our class leaders. Sean Hendricks right there in the Grand Sports division. Jeff McMillan remains the leader in the sports class. Joe Nonamaker has been in the lead in the touring class for a while.
And I got to be honest, I don't know if they made a driver change there, but Bill Pate's got to get in that car sometime soon, if he hasn't already.
You see McMillan's car, BMW 328 SI.
And we are now told that Bill Pate is in the car, so they did make the driver change. And Dave Daugherty is still the leader in compact in the Nissan 200 SX.
So look at the 43 machine.
There's Bill Pate. Bill waves to everybody at home. I think he's got his hands full.
Mazda MX-6. Diversity in these classes is pretty impressive. One of just about every car you care to mention.
And there's the Nissan. They came out of the box with this car. This thing was really amazing. They went to the Nelson Ledges 24-hour race with this a couple years ago. Basically had a couple weeks to put it together and won their class by like 5 laps. I mean, it was incredible.
See the field. People settling themselves in their cars, waiting for the green flag. Safety vehicles pulling off. But the rescue teams are still on the scene of that accident. Michael Himes is apparently out of the car in the chicane.
And the word we're getting now, Bob, is that they are on the scene and they are attending to him. We don't know the extent of any injuries. We won't speculate. We'll just keep good thoughts there and keep you posted. As you looked at Sean Hendricks there, got some information. He was trying out a sprint car in South Carolina, and he wanted to race it, but his sponsor for this series said, I don't want you doing that. I'll give you $10,000 to stay out of the car. And guess what? Sean took it.
Now, Sean is not a small fella. Sean in a sprint car must be a sight to behold.
Well, it'd be a lot tighter if it was a midget.
Now let's get back to Michael Himes' situation. Here's Jan Bikas.
Yes, I can confirm by asking the crew that it is in fact Michael Himes, and then checking in with the IMSA officials. They say that he is being tended to. They cannot give us any more definitive information on his condition other than the medics are attending to him. So we should take from that that there could be some injuries. We have no idea what the extent might be, but in fact it was Michael, and they are tending to him, guys.
Now this, of course, raises the specter of a yellow flag finish. Time beginning to run down, getting around the 10-minute mark. If we do get the green, it is going to be a very short sprint, and that once again changes the complexion of this race.
One of the things that we can point out also, they have 7 cars on the lead lap, and the new rule this year, and this is one I've got to be honest, I'm not quite caught up with. Since nobody pitted, I would have thought that they would have sent the vehicles around to pick up the leader, but right now Sean Hendricks is not the lead car. He is just back in the pack there, and we'll have to wait and see if they do a wave by.
Let's get down to Bill Weber.
And with Joe Nonamaker, who with Bill Pate co-drives the 43 car leading in the touring division, we're under caution now, but can Bill hang on for the win here?
Yeah, I think we're sitting pretty good. If you look on the track, we're 1-2 right now with Alistair is right behind him, and the car's just running fine. Gave the car to Billy. He's in happy shape. The flat spotted tire he's been whining about, but he'll get over it. We're okay.
You had a pretty good first half of the race, though.
Yeah, I got a real good start and got up behind a sports class car, and he gave me a tow for about the first 45 minutes till we got separated, and he was just dragging me around the straightaways. It was really good.
It's got to be a thrill to drive that car around the Daytona International Speedway.
Daytona is one of the most beautiful tracks and places to be, and what a place to be in January at the sunshine. The track is gorgeous, and the facilities are great. It's really been a good time for us.
Good luck the rest of the way.
Hey, thank you. Take care.
Well, as you could sense from the tone of that interview, these drivers are not necessarily as solicitous of one another's opinion of the car once it's handed over. Oh, my.
Should be lucky I gave you to you with 4 tires. Yeah, there's a happy guy, too. Bars said. I'm going to be interested to see what happens on the restart. This could get a little interesting as long as we get there. Yeah, look at Bars. He's still selling the clothing there.
Well, activities continue at the site of the accident. We'll be back with more after this timeout. Stand by for live coverage of IMSA from the World Center of Racing. Back live at Daytona International Speedway as the clock runs into the final moments of this opening round of the IMSA Endurance Championship. There's the safety car with the field still bunched behind him. There has been no wave by. The leader is not behind the safety car. Meanwhile, activity continues on Michael Himes, who crashed in the chicane, and we certainly hope all is well there.
And that's exactly why there has not been a wave by. So we were accurate in the fact that we expected one since the leader did not pit, but they will not even begin that process until they clear the accident scene. And that's a really smart move, because can you imagine these guys trying to catch back up to the pack, and they fly through there just a little bit too fast, get on some loose dirt, and they'd be right over into this accident, which is already bad enough. So another good move there. And unfortunately, I'm looking at my watch, and it may be a situation as we go from all the way back to where Sean Hendricks is like 43rd in line to the beginning of the lead pack. So even if they did a wave by, it would take them a couple of laps just to get these guys around. So we may see this one end under yellow, and that would be disappointing, but there's not much we can do about it. This would be the 6th win for Sean Hendricks and the 11th in their career for Boris Said, if they hold on to this.
About 4.5 minutes remaining in the race unofficially. And it appears that we will end under the yellow flag because the activities continue. No one pulling away from the scene of that accident to Michael Himes from Falls Church, Virginia.
And we're being told now that when Sean Hendricks comes by, he is going to get the white flag. So there will be 1 lap remaining in this race because of the time limitation. And we'll keep our eyes on the flag stand to make sure that that is indeed what happens. And it is a long way back, as we point out. It's 43 cars all the way back from the pace car to our overall race leader, Sean Hendricks.
Cars filing by. Well, Boris Said shaking hands with his crew. This race is effectively over. There comes the number 20 car of Sean Hendricks, squinting into that low North Florida sun as the sun sinks low beyond turn 3 and turns 1 and 2 on the oval. Flagman has the white drapeau in hand.
Drapeau?
Flag, my good man.
Are you trying to broaden my vocabulary?
White flag waves. And we remain under caution, so it may as well be the checkers. It will be after one more tour of this 3.56 mile combined oval and road course. And that will mean victory for Sean Hendricks and Boris Said. All in all, a dominating performance. Said moved quickly to the front. They have been there virtually ever since. Well, it's a pity this race will have to end under caution, but once again, I hope that Michael Himes has not suffered too bad an accident.
How would you like to be Terry Borchler right now? He is right behind Sean Hendricks, and he's saying, oh, I'm not going to get a shot at him. At least 1 lap. Give me 1 lap, guys. Of course, now think about this. We do know there is history of certain drivers in NASCAR competition who sort of went into the pits a little too early. I don't want to say Mark Martin's name because I know Mark doesn't like to be reminded of it. But I mean, it could happen. You never know. Are we trying to build some false drama into this, Bob, at this point?
Just about to finish the infield section, then it'll be up onto the banking.
Teams, with that one guy gesturing, do we have any champagne? Looks like he's trying to get the celebration started.
He needs to get the appropriate hat on for the traditional celebrating crew shot.
We're into NASCAR 2 now as we make the way around the track for the final time. You know, the next big question is he going to make it around in time for us to do a winner interview before we have to say goodbye?
These are the class winners as we anticipate them when they come around to take the checkered flag. Boris Said and Sean Hendricks in Grand Sports, the McMillan Lawrence machine in the sports class. Nonamaker in paint, despite any whining over the flat spotting of a tire by Mr. Nonamaker. And in the compact class, David Daugherty's team.
So it'll be a win in the manufacturer categories for Ford in Grand Sports, BMW in the sports division, Mazda in the touring, and Nissan in the compact. Is that spreading it around well enough?
And only the first race of a 10-race schedule. Races as long as 5 hours that will last throughout the summer. Certainly an example of how close the competition can be, and how the laurels get spread around in IMSA endurance competition. Boris Said waiting for the other shoe to drop along with the checkered flag.
Well, I'm sure they would love to have raced this to the end, but they'll take this victory any way they can get it.
Into the tri-oval comes the safety car, but well back, just going up onto the oval, you see Sean Hendricks. Now tomorrow we begin our coverage of one of the great endurance races in all the world, the Rolex 24 here at Daytona. Our coverage begins on the grid at 12:30 p.m. Eastern time and then continues seamlessly into the start of the race live at 1 p.m. Eastern time here on ESPN2. We'll go all the way to 4 o'clock Eastern with 3 hours of live coverage of the exciting opening hours of the race. And then on Sunday we'll be back at 7 a.m. Eastern to take you right through the finish and meet all the winners. We'll have it all for you. 6.5 hours of live coverage on Sunday morning here on ESPN2.
Borchla's trying to get as close as he can for that win. Oh! That's true. That'd be a photo there for both those cars as the Mustang Cobra R's take first and second.
Well, if you can't win the race, at least be in the picture. Checkered flag waves. It is now official. Let's go talk with Boris Said.
Well, Boris is getting the congratulations of the crew. And Boris, you had the easy job here. You got to sit on the wall, and he got to cruise around behind the pace car. We've already talked about the race itself. What gives this Mustang an advantage here at a track like this?
Well, I think the Ford Mustang's faster than all the other cars. And these Steeda guys, they make Mustang parts for a living, and they make some pretty good parts. And Sean's a really good driver.
Now tell me, obviously you pulled out a lead. You're comfortable on this racetrack, but you're actually driving two different types of cars tomorrow in the 24 hours?
Yeah, I'm going to drive the BMW M3 for Tom Milner, and then I'm driving the new Callaway C7R for Reeves Callaway. So I've been bouncing in and out of cars all weekend, and it's going to be a good weekend. A lot of driving time.
Now, what do the manufacturers say? Obviously, you're telling us about Ford here and what they've done, but you have all different makes that you're driving. Does that cause a conflict?
Not really. I mean, mainly, first and foremost, I'm a Ford guy. I'm doing the whole Super Truck series this year with Ernie Irvin and a Federated Auto Parts Ford. But in the spare time, they don't mind if I do some other stuff, because the more time you stay behind the wheel, the better you get. So it's going pretty good.
So this is important also from a manufacturer's standpoint, obviously for your team and with the positions we had 1-2.
Yep, it's always good to win. And yeah, right now Ford's got a good lead manufacturer. It's only the first race of the year, but I think they're going to be strong all year.
Congratulations, Boris.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Thanks very much. We'll add our congratulations. Incidentally, just as the checkered flag flew, Michael Himes was taken from the accident scene. He will head for the infield care center, and we will update his condition when we meet you on the grid for tomorrow's Rolex 24 here at Daytona. Here's a look at our unofficial results. All Grand Sports cars through the top 10, led by the number 20 Mustang Cobra of Boris Said and Sean Hendricks.
And 7 of those cars finishing on the lead lap. And Toyota's going to have to go back to work and see if they can cure their fuel problem.
There you see 11th through 20th, including our sports class winner, the BMW 328 IS, in 16th position. The IMSA Endurance Championship continues through the summer. There you see our touring class winner back in 25th place. Tremendous mechanical diversity in this class. Congratulations to our overall winner, Boris Badenoff.
Now, Boris was good enough today, both he and Sean Hendricks, as they take the win.
I wonder who's wearing Natasha.
Not going to touch that one, buddy. You're on your own.
Coming up next, NASCAR Shop Talk with special guest Steve Wade, editor of Winston Cup Scene. Thank you for joining us. And we'll remind you once again, on the grid for the Rolex 24 at Daytona, coming your way at 12:30 Eastern Time here on ESPN2. For Marty Reed, Bill Weber, and Jan Bikas, I'm Bob Varsha. So long for now from Daytona Beach, Florida.